everyone. I'm Mackenzie Lane from the Burbank International Film Festival, and today we're continuing our interview series Beyond the Frame with Brendan Gabriel Murphy and Shiloh Fernandez from the feature film FLUXX. Brendan is the director, co-writer, producer, and editor of FLUXX, and Shiloh co-stars in it as the character Trevor Pierce alongside Shelley Hennig and Tyrese Gibson. We're thrilled to have FLUXX as one of the festival's 7 features this year. This mind-bending, multi-genre film is centered around an actress determined to rescue her famous missing husband, despite being unable to willingly leave her home. I was literally blown away by this film. The stylization, cinematography, and acting is off the charts. So I'm honored to be speaking with Brendan and Shiloh about it. Hey guys, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, wonderful. So nice to meet you and be here.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Let's go ahead and dive in. I'd love to hear in your own words how you would describe FLUXX.
Yeah, it is a multi-genre piece. It's a psychological thriller. It's not a horror film. It's a psychological thriller that explores different genres because it's going to be really interesting to be able to do a movie that's blanketed as a thriller, but hit genres in a way nobody's really done before. And the only way you can really do that is centering around the industry and around an actor. So that's the direction we wanted to take. And we wrote this film during COVID, during the lockdowns. So hence why, you can't leave your home. That plays into it because we couldn't leave our homes. So we're like, all right, well, let's play off that and do something interesting and cool with it. So I wrote the script with Keontae Mayfield. He's my writing partner, just a great guy, fantastic writer. We write everything together now. So it was just a fun script to read. It was very hard to write because there's so many twists and turns. And actually, what was on the page didn't necessarily translate perfectly in the edit, even though it worked on the page. So the edit became almost like a rewriting of the script as well to make sure everything tied in at the end, because we want to take everybody on a journey where you feel like you don't know where the film is going and then wrap it all up neatly in a very cool, slick way in the third act. Like that was the biggest challenge for us. So, but I think we accomplished that. So.
Definitely did. Yeah, like there were moments where I was like, I'm gonna take a break. Then I was like, no, there's like a whole nother character or a whole nother like story that I can hit pause.
Yeah, you can't take a bathroom break on this movie because if you do, you might miss something. So when I'm in the theater watching with people, I'm like, oh man, they should not be going to get popcorn. They're going to the bathroom right now. They're gonna have to watch it again.
Please welcome Vada Brent.
Big time movie star, Trevor Pierce.
Do you still love your wife?
People are not loyal to you. Once their needs are met, they just disappear.
We just signed our North American deal, so now we're getting all the deliverables and everything ready. We are going to do a limited theatrical for the movie, which is awesome. I'm very happy that the movie will get into the theaters, even limited theatrically. This film really works in the theater. I'm excited for people to be able to experience that. So go to the movies.
I know you two have worked together in the past, but how did you all connect about making this film together?
Brendan was the first guy that I met when I moved to Los Angeles, which was like 20 years ago. I happened to move in with his sister, who I didn't know either. So that's where we met. And Brendan literally put me in my first short film that I ever did. He's my maestro and always will be. It's very difficult to get movies made. So over the years, we've tried to make different things. And, he really was passionate about this one and wrote a really unique script that I think needed to sort of attract the right actors and the right people, and was sweet enough to want to work with me again and give me this part. That's how that came about. And throughout this process of making this movie, a lot of life changes have happened. I got engaged when we first started shooting the movie. Now I have a kid. Brendan's about to have number 2. So we've been through a whole lot of life. And I really believe that, from reading the first version of the script that Brendan sent me to what you see in the theater, I think he made the absolute most amazing version of this movie and all the iterations that came and all the scripts. And so it's really fun to be a part of something where you go watch it, sort of don't really know exactly what to expect and to be blown away. And that's what's been really fun about this particular process with FLUXX.
And Shiloh and I, we both watch each other grow in this business, we're there to support each other through our triumphs and be there for each other through our failures. It's just been amazing as being my best friend to just watch him grow as an actor and just see how much he cares about the process and what he brings. And it makes it so easy when you're on set, when you just kind of know already what he's capable of doing. He's got it. And also Shiloh has great insight. He directs, writes, and produces. He's multifaceted as well. So, Shiloh brought a lot to the table when it comes to certain scenes and dialogue and things like that are just, and I'm open for all of that with the actors in discussion. So when him and Shelley, we had a meeting like right before we shot, and they had all these ideas to fix this one scene, and we went with their ideas. It just played better. It was more natural. It was better than what was on the page. It still had the intention of what we were doing in the scene. It just helped. And I was like, let's do it. Let's rock. I trust both of you guys, and it just makes things organic and more fun in the process to get everybody involved, because it's not a one-man show. It's really a teamwork, camaraderie, and all these people that are working on the film are friends of ours, and my brother's the DP, and so it's like a big happy family, and it's nice to have all these allies around you when you're making something, because indie filmmaking is really, really hard.
I want to talk a little bit more about the inspiration behind the film, because it's so visually beautiful. The sets, the lighting design, the score. I was like, this movie is like so amazing. So I'd love to hear some of your inspiration for the look and feel of it.
I think kind of the style we were going for was like a Dario Argento style, like the suspense horror thrillers of the 70s, even though it's not a horror film. His style is very colorful, that Italian style, thrown in with some Wes Craven, so some David Lynch. There's a little Tarantino in there. I mean, there's Kubrick, a little Kubrick. I mean, I pick pieces from all my different filmmakers, and that's how you develop your style as a filmmaker yourself. So we knew we wanted it to be very colorful and bright and feel very surreal. That was the key, is to really just mind warp you into this world that we're creating. And I'm a big atmosphere guy, so I know rain and lightning and thunder, we have a lot of it, and I knew that was going to be the tone of the movie, which I really enjoyed. I like atmosphere, and there's atmosphere in all my films. So just wanted it to be visually stunning. My brother and I have been working together for as long as Shiloh and I have been working together, and we have a shorthand on set, so it's just really easy for us because we're director DP. So we just get it. My process now is that unless it's a really difficult sequence, I don't storyboard. I get in the day of, feel the environment, and I shot list right there on set. That's how Spielberg and some other guys do it. I don't waste time doing shot lists beforehand, because it's just going to get thrown out. It's just a waste of time. Unless it's a very difficult sequence, then we'll shot list and storyboard that, and that'll be planned. But everything else will just go in there, and it just takes me and my brother like 10 minutes. And we're like, boom, 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 boom. Let's write down the shots and do it. That's our process for almost everything we do now. We've done a lot of projects together.
I'm really mind blown by that, because there's so many iconic shots in it where I'm like, did you envision this beforehand? Because it's like her face when they're on the motorcycle and she's looking over his shoulder, and then like the lollipop in the rain puddle. I'm like, were these things that you thought of beforehand, or they just happen and you're like, ooh, I like this?
Some of them we talked about beforehand. Some of them, like lollipop, everybody thought I was crazy with this stupid lollipop. But to me, the lollipop represented that blood was about to spill. That's why I have it there. It's like the loss of innocence, the lollipop spills, it's a red lollipop, it hits the ground. It's like, okay, now the story's about to start where all the blood's about to be shed.
We shot the movie in 2 parts almost. Brendan had a chance to go back and sort of really hone in on certain things, I imagine, to come back and see that he really sort of knew what he wanted in a new way too. The motorcycle shot was on a stage, and we'd shot some other motorcycle stuff, practical location or whatever. And so it's really fun as an actor to be on the volume stage or whatever. Brendan can explain that more than me. You really don't know what it's going to look like. How's this going to translate? So it's really sweet that you love that.
Where to?
Anywhere but here.
It's hard. It's so technical. It's not just going out and shooting a movie. You're on these brand new stages with these LED lights that work in a unique way. And it's really fascinating to watch Brendan sort of have to learn all that stuff and understand it and make it look so damn good. It's pretty impressive.
Unfortunately, in indie filmmaking, you can't shoot things in sequence, which would be nice to be able to do just for the actors and everybody else, especially with this kind of movie where it's, kind of all over the place. We shot the first leg of the movie in Hawaii. While we were in Hawaii, one of our investors completely screwed us over out of a large sum of money. So it put the movie in dire straits, and we had to just get everything we could and then go back to LA, regroup, and raise a lot of money to be able to finish the film. So during that time, I just kept tweaking the script, and then I combined two characters, and we were able to get Tyrese involved with the picture, which was a great add-on to Shelley and Shiloh because he's playing a very unique character that he's never played before.
This man ruined you.
The hell out of my house!
This is not your home anymore.
Destroyed your reputation
I've been carrying you.
I made you!
and career. What are you gonna do about it?
In that time too, we were able to like kind of figure out and map out the rest of the stuff that had to be done in LA, which were really big days, especially the sci-fi stuff, because that whole entire set was built from scratch. That's all in a big soundstage. That's with an LED volume wall. The window, all those assets were created months and months before. Cityscapes, that's not green screen, that's there. So if you look at the actors and stuff, you can see the reflection of the screens, the colors on them. That's from the actual screen. If not, it would just be green. You wouldn't get that dynamic lighting. That's the cool thing about shooting at the volume rather than shooting green screen or blue screen, is that you get that bounce of the light on the walls, on the floor, on all on the other things that you'd have to create with lighting to fake it as best you can. So there's a big difference between, I think, volume shooting and green screen shooting. You can really see it. I could tell which shows do it. Like House of Dragon shoots a lot of volume. Some of the Star Wars shows do. It's very difficult to do. It's not easy. It's a challenge. I've done it now twice, TV show and now this. I feel pretty good about being able to do it again on a much larger scale. Yeah, it was fun. I love doing the sci-fi stuff. It was actually 3 scenes, as Shiloh knows. We ran out of time and money. We couldn't shoot the 3rd scene. We didn't even need it in the edit. It actually worked better without it. We had a whole another scene that we couldn't even shoot. In fact, that chess sequence, we rushed through. We like blew through that thing. So Shiloh and Shelley just killed that because we probably did like a couple takes of it, and that's what we got. And that was it because we had no time. We had no time for that scene.
Shelley wanted to learn how to play chess before we started shooting. I'm like, Shelley,
yeah. Yeah. Learn how to play chess in 5 minutes. Yeah.
That scene was amazing because it's like, if I remember correctly, when you're watching it, it feels like one long take. There are cutaways, I think, but you can tell you filmed it in like very long takes.
We did shoot basically the whole, yeah.
If you had to choose between your career or your husband, which would it be? That was quite the performance.
One cool thing to say about the sci-fi set that I like to throw in, and I usually mention this at Q&As and whatnot in interviews, you're using different forms of technology. You got the volume, which is future technology. You're building a practical set. We also had a standing model. So the ceiling is actually a model. It's only like 4 by 5 feet, and it's going right over the camera, and it created the ceiling. The ceiling is just a big soundstage. So because of the way the forced perspective for the wide shot, we built this beautiful ceiling, and it's only 4 by 5 piece of carved out wood. So that's something they would do in the silent era with films and whatnot. And we use that on this with the future technology. So it's kind of cool how it all worked out, and it looks seamless, and you can't even tell that that's a fake ceiling right in front of the camera. And the camera is very far away from where the screens are. So it's just pretty cool if you saw like the behind the scenes of it.
That set was amazing. Watching the film, I'm like, this set is gorgeous. To give a little context to our viewers, this question is for Shiloh, and your and Shelley's characters are both actors in the film. I would love to know what it was like for you playing different characters with Shelley.
I have nothing left to give, Trevor!
Give me more!
She truly was just the most incredible actress that I've ever worked with. So in that regard, you're sort of in whatever scene you're in, when you're across somebody like her, you're sort of drawn into the moment. It was really fun to play these different parts.
There's nothing more important to me than finishing this film.
Even me?
Obviously, he's directing this movie, so then he's also acting in it. And so the stress that comes with that, and I've only really made one movie that I acted in and directed, and it's a huge sort of overwhelming challenge where you don't get to really put as much into acting as you would want to. So it's fun to sort of walk that line of trying to be in the moment, but also having all this backstory of our relationship is crumbling. I'm trying to get this movie made, so there were so many other things that luckily helped me, not be as good of an actor. If I'm not great in those scenes, it's because I'm playing a director who's, dealing with his wife and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I'm making excuses for myself already.
I don't know if I can do this.
What do you mean? You got this.
first thing that we do, me and Shelley, which is this sort of soap opera scene, because Brendan watched, of course, the first like guest star that I would do, or these things, where I'm sure I wasn't the best actor ever. So it was really fun to sort of ham it up and have fun in each different version of these characters. It was just awesome.
To spin on that, like I worked for SoapNet for a few years, and so I'm not a big fan of soap operas, but I do respect the actors and how many pages they have to do a day. It's an insane amount of pages, and I know a lot of soap actors. The acting and the writing is like, very, in many ways cheesy, and it's very over dramatic and melodramatic and whatnot. So I wanted to play off that with that scene. It's very big. If I looked at Shelley's character as being like Susan Lucci, All My Children. So like that's how I saw her, and Shiloh, just the way he gets shot. Like I just wanted to be very, very hammy, so that then they go back into the normal selves, and now they're really acting. But it's funny because they're playing actors acting, so it's like they're acting, and they're acting. So it's just a trippy experience. And then my favorite scenes in the film are actually the scenes with actually Shiloh and Shelley, because I couldn't believe how good the chemistry was. Like, I've seen all of Shiloh's work and he's great with everybody, but this chemistry for me, maybe I'm impartial because it's my movie, I couldn't believe how well they connected, and they just sold it. Just like those scenes that take place in the restaurant and after the restaurant, they're just so powerful for me. They feel so real and authentic. The first time Shelley and Shiloh had to act together, I threw them in a really rough scene. It was the scene where he's at the dining room table and she's in the lingerie. So she's going to be in lingerie the first time she's acting with him. And plus, like, it's a very heavy scene where he's going to choke her, and there's she throws a script in the air, she's drunk, and they killed it. Like, for that be the first scene for two actors to work with together, I just knew we had gold, and they were just gonna, and that was like dynamite. And then when they got back in for the LA portion of the shoot, which was a lot of the meat and potatoes of their scenes, it was just game on. And he's just so natural, and he's just so irritated. And I've been in those situations where you're in a public place and you're like, you're just crawling out of your skin. And like, I love that scene so much, and his delivery and that last line with the credit card. It's just so like, it's just like a knife in the gut. It's just like, I love it. Every time I watch it, I love it. It just gives me chills just watching my best friend up there kill my words, It's awesome.
It's really different, I think, for me shooting a movie with Brendan, because like he mentioned, we do have a shorthand. He sort of knows what my strengths are and what maybe my weaknesses are. Sometimes if I'm lost and I'm working with a writer director, I'll look to that writer director, because I imagine that if I'm playing, the lead role, that it's a version of them in some way. So if I'm lost, I'll sort of look to them. And in this, working with Brendan is funny because I want to impress him. I want him to think I'm great. I want him to show up for him, but I also know exactly kind of what he wants, I think, so like as I read it, I sort of interpreting as what Brendan wants. For me, it's a completely different experience where, of course, we're so lucky to be able to do what we love for a living, but working with Brendan is super fun and different. You almost have to sort of like pinch yourself that you're actually shooting a movie, because you're watching your buddy sort of run this whole crew, and it's just sort of what we've always dreamed about. And so playing these different characters, it's just a different process for me in terms of working with Brendan, because I sort of see what he would like, which is really cool to sort of know somebody that well, right? We're always sort of guessing, and if somebody doesn't direct you, sort of feel out at outer space and lost.
Because you just don't know who the victim is. Is he the victim? Is she the victim? It's just, I throw it around, so it's like, who's the victim? Who's the bad guy in this? There's like, in a way, everybody's the bad guy, They all have these negative traits in their way, and they're all trying to navigate this crazy business.
How long did the entire process take, since you started in Hawaii and then you had to go to LA?
It's been in like a 3 to 4 year process. I don't want to go into the whole financials of it, but I put everything into this movie. So
Do either of you have upcoming projects we can keep an eye out for?
I have another movie at the Burbank Film Festival, which I'm really excited about. It's my first year, I think, going to the Burbank Film Festival. So I'm so excited to have FLUXX there and Hellbent on Boogie, two movies that couldn't be more different in their sort of feel and their tone. Hellbent on Boogie is sort of a very small story that, equally powerful in a very different way.
Shillow's always got so much stuff going on. He's being modest. I actually shot a film in Texas with Tanner Beard, Michael Madsen, and Jamie King. So I'm in post on that right now. So that's just a massive movie in post. So, and we still have some other pickup stuff to do. Post-production pretty much throughout the end of the year. And then I'm doing a high concept horror film in Bulgaria. It'll be my biggest budget film to date, the beginning of next year. So I'll be most likely in Bulgaria for about 4 months next year. The outline just got approved by the producers now. I'm writing the scripts with my writing partner, Keontae, who I wrote FLUXX with. Yeah, that which I'm very excited about, and then hopefully we'll get this other thriller of mine off the ground, and Shiloh will be a part of that as well. And we have a docuseries coming out September 12th on AMC called The Tailor of Sin City. And we did the reenactments for that, my brother and I. Yeah, just trying to keep as busy as possible because it's tough out there right now. Pretty brutal, We love what we do, right?
September, 2 big things coming out for Brendan. Let's go, babe.
We're so excited to have 2 of your films, Shiloh, in the festival, and I'm doing an interview for Hellbent on Boogie. I haven't watched it yet, but
okay, cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I'd love to know if either of you have any advice for aspiring actors and filmmakers.
Find a Brendan Murphy, right? Baby.
Because I have so many friends that are aspiring actors, and I try to help as many actors as possible. But the key is to stay on directors, like keep on them, keep like annoying them, because like the ones that stay on me that are always checking in, I remember those people and I put them in stuff. I put a lot of guys in my docuseries stuff because they're just like on me all the time. I'm like, all right, good. All right, you're staying on me. You're hungry. I'll get you a little thing here and there. And I put a lot of people in it. So that's a big one. Just stay on it. You got to hustle. So keep hustling. The other thing is do as many short films as you can, especially when you're coming up, so you can start building your reel to show that you have something, because you are as good as your acting reel. And it's really hard to break into the feature film world or the TV world. So just get in as many short films. The turnaround is usually quicker. Then get your material back faster so you can start building your reels. So projects only get bigger as you go. If you can stay in LA or wherever you are and pay your bills.
That is really good advice. With all the changes in the world and with auditioning, and you don't go in rooms, you don't meet people anymore. I feel like me and Brendan came 10 years too late to do what we wanted to do in terms of how movies are made and the budgets you get and sort of what you get to do and the things that are being put in theaters. So even for us, it's like, damn, time's gone by. It feels like it gets harder. I'm sure it's the same. I'm sure it's always been difficult. But yeah, the people that you work with, I think, is a huge thing, to connect with filmmakers, to work on ideas, to write your own things. It's really difficult to play parts that you want to play unless you maybe create them for yourself. I think that with the technology and having cameras around, to find a few buddies and shoot something, just getting better constantly. So if you're just shooting stuff and making stuff, and, I know a lot of people who now are finally sort of doing that, it's because I think it's just so much harder if you're not able to go in a room and audition and meet people and casting people. You're sending in a tape and you sort of don't get that feedback. And so it's the fact that it takes all kinds, and that it's so neat to be an artist and sort of follow your dream. And that's the best advice, is sort of like, is this something that you have to do? And if you do, then you just have to sort of chase after it and do it and try to sort of get on the internet, find people who are making stuff, put yourself out there.
To play off 2 things that Shiloh said, I do think it's important to hone your craft and study acting. I think going to a school or class or wherever, or even just working with friends doing scene study, that to me is important. Like, just get the backbones and stuff. The industry has changed so much to really get those roles where you want to be the guy or the girl, or if you can put pen to paper, write those roles for yourself and try to figure out a way to make that short film or that feature for a little bit amount of money and write it for yourself. And I've had a lot of friends come up in the business doing that, their little films or even their little features together where they're the star and getting noticed that way. Much more difficult in the producing aspect and stuff like that. But you see yourself as that role, as that person, and it's good to have a vision, see yourself somewhere, because what Shiloh said, if you want it bad enough, nothing's going to stop you from getting it.
That's so much amazing advice. Thank you both for sharing that. Brendan and Shiloh, thank you both so much for taking the time to give us an inside look at FLUXX. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. This was fun. I'm excited about Burbank. It's a great festival. It's funny because I remember years ago, all my short films I would submit to Burbank always got denied. So I've always wanted to be in this film festival, and I'm very excited that FLUXX is a part of it when I'm coming in with a feature. So I was there last year for when Tanner Beard, who's one of my producing partners, he won the Tim Burton Visionary Award. So that was very exciting. And, Tim Burton, being a part of the festival and whatnot, and Tim Burton Day. So just Burbank and, being in the area and living in the area, it's just a great festival. So I'm very excited about being a part of it.
Oh, that's so cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Mackenzie. This has been awesome.
Oh, of course. And for our viewers, FLUXX will be screening on Saturday, September 28th at 7 p.m. at the AMC 16 Burbank, and will be followed by a Q&A with the cast and crew. For tickets, visit burbankfilmfest.org. We hope to see you there. Bye.
See you at the movies. Bye-bye.
It's showtime.